The music pulsed. A wave of euphoria crashing over hundreds of celebrating guests. Laughter, rhythmic clapping, the joyous clink of glasses. This was the symphony of a perfect wedding night in Kuwait. And at its heart, commanding every beat, stood Noura, the celebrated queen of the stage, her voice a beacon of celebration. But as the night wore on, the energy began to shift. A coldness, despite the warmth of the crowd. A silence that seemed to swallow the music's edge. What if the faces in the dancing crowd became less human, their movements too fluid, too unnatural? What if the celebration you were leading was not merely unusual, but something profoundly, terrifyingly different? This is not a dream. This is a chilling legend, whispered for decades through the desert winds of Kuwait, born from a single, infamous night in 1997. A night when Noura, a beloved star, allegedly faced an audience that was not of this world. An encounter so utterly terrifying, she's said to have sworn off performing at weddings forever. This is the story of the last performance. Noura, a fixture of Kuwait's vibrant folk music scene, was accustomed to the late-night calls, but the one that came in 1997 was different. The voice on the other end, that of a woman, held an unsettling quality, a strange resonance, almost a metallic echo. The offer, however, was irresistible, double her usual fee to perform at her daughter's wedding. That very night, a night her band usually rested. Despite the inexplicable chill the voice sent down her spine, the sheer sum of money swayed her. Under the cloak of night, Noura and her all-female band journeyed to an isolated villa in the Sabahiyya area of Kuwait. The mansion was breathtaking, bathed in an almost unreal glow, its gardens meticulously kept. Yet, a profound silence hung in the air. No other cars, no staff, just an empty, waiting grandeur. Then, around 10:30 p.m., they appeared. Not a gradual arrival, but in sudden, instantaneous filling of the hall. Hundreds of guests already dancing with an unnerving, synchronized fervor. The music swelled, but something was terribly wrong. A band member, overwhelmed by a horrifying sight, reportedly collapsed after catching a glimpse of the dancing women's feet. Not human, but cloven, goat-like hooves. Panic began to claw at them. Guests' skin felt rough and hot, like stone, their faces pale, strangely textured, their eyes holding an ancient, depthless gaze. The air grew heavy, thick with a scent that was not quite human. Noura, her blood turning to ice, allegedly whispered to her trembling band, "We are at a jinn wedding. We must keep playing until the dawn prayer when they flee." They played on, each note a desperate plea for survival. As the first faint light of dawn kissed the horizon, the opulent villa plunged into absolute darkness. The music died. The hundreds of guests vanished. Noura and her band, leaving instruments, belongings, and sanity behind, fled into the emerging daylight. Stumbling onto the main road, they encountered an old man heading to the mosque. He confirmed their deepest fears, informing them that the villa had been abandoned for years, a known dwelling of the jinn. When they dared to look back, the grand mansion was gone, replaced by a crumbling, desolate ruin.
Noura Rabi Ismail Ali, born in 1950, was indeed a real and prominent Kuwaiti folk singer, known by her epithet El Takkaga, She headlined countless weddings and released recordings throughout the 1980s and 90s, becoming a celebrated figure in the Gulf music scene. But what exactly are these jinn that allegedly haunted her performance? In Islamic and Middle Eastern folklore, jinn are powerful, supernatural beings, often translated as genies or demons. They are believed to be spirits, capable of interacting with the human world, taking various forms, and often inhabiting abandoned places. Belief in jinn and spirit possession is common across Gulf societies, providing a cultural context for why a story like Noura's would be plausible, memorable, and easily spread as folklore in Kuwait and the region. The story of Noura's terrifying encounter and her subsequent retirement is deeply embedded in Kuwaiti and Arab popular culture, widely accepted as a legendary or anecdotal account. It is consistently recounted across numerous online platforms, often framed as a true story in horror content. But what lies beneath the compelling narrative? Is this a documented truth, or a powerful piece of folklore that simply refuses to die? This is where our investigation must take a critical turn. The widespread online existence of the jinn wedding story about Noura is undeniable. Mainstream outlets like Vice, Arabic edition, and El Ain News have run retrospectives describing it as part of Noura's enduring lore, a widely told anecdote. But when we apply strict journalistic standards, the picture becomes far less clear. We searched Arabic and English news archives for terms like Noura, jinn wedding, and dates around 1997 to 1998. We looked for Kuwaiti newspapers and regional outlets reporting from the 1990s. We sought an original 1997 audio or TV clip referenced by some articles where Noura allegedly recounted this experience. The result is, I could not locate a contemporaneous 1997 news story, an archival TV clip, or an accessible original audio file that would serve as a primary eyewitness verification of the alleged wedding event. Many social posts and modern articles claim a 1997 audio exists, but do not provide direct links to the original. Therefore, we cannot confirm that such a primary source is publicly available. What we have are dozens of modern narrations, often secondhand, claiming to retell what Noura said or what band members remembered. What is conspicuously missing for rigorous verification are named, contactable eyewitnesses with dated, contemporaneous statements, tapes or transcripts with verifiable provenance, police reports, or local news coverage from the time. We could not find those. We cannot confirm there are living, verifiable witnesses who documented this event at the time it supposedly happened.
An intelligent skeptic, however, demands more than a captivating tale. They would question, is this story verifiable as a factual event, or is it a culturally potent legend? While widely circulated, the very nature of the alleged event, encountering jinn, immediately places it in the realm of folklore, which is inherently difficult, if not impossible, to verify through conventional journalistic standards. The most likely hypotheses lean towards the tale evolving as regional folklore about a famous wedding singer, with details amplified over time. It could be misattribution, where Noura perhaps shared a private anecdote, later transformed into a dramatic supernatural account. Or it could be a real but misreported event, something unsettling genuinely occurred at a gig, mass hysteria, an elaborate prank, or a mundane incident, which, through cultural filters and repeated retellings, became imbued with the terrifying supernatural. Noura herself was, undeniably, a real person, and her retirement from wedding singing is widely reported. Yet even here, the narrative is not singular. Some accounts suggest she stepped away due to age or changing industry trends, such as the rise of DJs, rather than solely due to a terrifying jinn encounter. Ultimately, While the narrative of the jinn wedding is deeply embedded in Kuwaiti popular culture, repeated and believed by millions, it is consistently presented as a widely accepted legendary account rather than a confirmed historical event with conventional, verifiable proof. So, with all the evidence laid bare, the fervent belief, the terrifying accounts, and the stark absence of conventional proof, what then do we make of the profound legend of Nura and the jinn wedding? Is it a genuine, terrifying encounter with the unseen, a spiritual ordeal brushed aside by a modern world too eager for empirical validation? Or is it a powerful example of how deep-seated cultural beliefs can intertwine so completely with human experience, shaping our very reality through the sheer irresistible force of narrative? The story is undeniable. It is widespread online, treated as a chilling Gulf urban legend, passed from person to person, generating millions of views on social media. We know Nura was a real Kuwaiti singer who performed at weddings and eventually retired, seemingly retreating from public life. But what we cannot confirm, however, is the central terrifying claim that she literally sang at a wedding of jinns. Our extensive search yielded no contemporaneous 1997 news coverage, no police reports, no contactable eyewitnesses with verifiable statements, and no publicly available primary recording that authenticates the event as a documented fact. The proof remains elusive, locked away in the realm of hearsay and fervent belief. Yet, despite this lack of tangible evidence, the story endures with an unwavering spiritual gravity. It feeds a deep-seated human hunger for the unexplainable, for confirmation that worlds beyond our own exist. Perhaps the true power of the Nura legend lies not in its verifiable truth, but in its ability to give voice to an ancient, unsettling belief that still resonates profoundly within the culture. It speaks to the primal fear of the unknown, the potent power of unseen forces, and the thin, permeable veil between our ordinary world and something far more ancient, spiritually charged, and terrifying. So, after all the investigations, all the theories, all the breathless reports, and the meticulous debunkings, what then is the last performance? Is it a terrifying, documented encounter with beings from smokeless fire? A moment when the spiritual realm bled into our own? Or is it, as the skeptics contend, an elaborate media phenomenon meticulously constructed upon a foundation of folklore and amplified by human credulity? A modern myth, carefully cultivated and broadcast to intrigue, to thrill, and perhaps to profit? Or could it be something else entirely? Something we haven't even considered, a complex interplay of natural phenomena, deep-seated psychological susceptibility, and collective storytelling that creates an illusion so potent it feels undeniably real, spiritually profound. Perhaps the enduring truth of Nura's story lies not in the concrete answers it refuses to give, but in the profound questions it forces us to ask ourselves. Maybe, just maybe, this legend acts as a mirror, a vast, unsettling looking glass reflecting us, our deepest, most primal fears of the unseen, our boundless hopes for discovery, for validation that there is more to existence than the mundane, and our insatiable hunger for mystery, for narratives that stretch the very limits of our understanding and challenge our spiritual equilibrium. And perhaps that is precisely why it endures, because in the end, the last performance doesn't just ask us what's out there, lurking in the shadows, or whispering in the night. It asks us something far more personal, far more unsettling. It asks us who we are when faced with the dark, when confronted with the unexplainable, and when forced to choose between the comfortable certainty of logic and the chilling spiritual allure of the unknown.